You're watching Eagles Now by Chat Sports. My name is Chase Sr., and coming up, I'm going to go through what the Philadelphia Eagles must do to be victorious against the Los Angeles Rams to punch their ticket to the NFC Championship game. Key to the game number one, it's very obvious to me. The passing attack for this Eagles offense has to improve. They have to be better than they were against the Green Bay Packers, and I think everybody inside that building understands that. Now, Jalen Hurts had not played in a month. He was a little bit rusty, had to shake off the cobwebs. I also thought that Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni were very conservative with the Eagles' offensive game plan, and the passing concepts were way too simple. Were they doing that, understanding that Hurts was coming off that concussion? I think that played a role in it. I also think the Green Bay Packers did a really good job of defending Philadelphia. Hurts on the day, he wasn't terrible. Was he great? No. 13 to 21, 131 yards, 6.2 yards per completion, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Did not turn the ball over. That was huge. On the other sideline, Jordan Love threw 3 interceptions. And Jalen Hurts did have a passer rating of 111.4. But you look at how this passing game fared against Green Bay and against this young, improving Rams defense that's playing well, this is not going to cut it. Devontae Smith, 4 catches for 55 against Green Bay. Dallas Goedert, 4 for 47 and a touchdown. Jahan Dotson, 1 catch. It was a big one. Went for that opening drive touchdown to capitalize off that forced fumble on the punt return to open up the ball game. A.J. Brown, 1 catch for 10 yards? That simply cannot happen. And Greg Calcaterra, 1 catch for 4 yards. That was a check down from Jalen Hurts. Kellen Moore on the pass game on Tuesday said this: it wasn't our best day. The passing game obviously wasn't our best performance on Jalen Hurts. He said he wasn't perfect, but he settled in. The Eagles have to be more aggressive in taking downfield shots. They have to be more complex with what they show the Rams. They have to get more creative and rely on 2 great wide receivers in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to win their matchups, but put them in a position to succeed. Also of note, you had Hurts coming off that concussion. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, they didn't practice last week either and didn't get reps in with Jalen Hurts because they too were injured. Another week of prep. Hopefully that pass game is better. Key to the game number 2. The Eagles have an opportunity, like they did in Week 12, to run it down the Rams' throats. Saquon Barkley in that game, he might still be running away from the Los Angeles Rams. 26 carries, 255 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, both of which were from 70-plus yards, and he averaged 9.8 yards per carry on the night. And this Rams defense against the run, it has been a leaky unit all year, and they have struggled to contain the opposing team's rushing attack. They are 26th in yards per rush. They are 21st in rushing yards per game. 13 times this year, the Rams surrendered 100-plus rushing yards. The Eagles against the Rams ran it for 314, and the Rams are also 26th in net yards per attempt against the run. So this Eagles offensive line, which is the best in the NFL in my humble opinion, and those boys up front have to bring it. They have the opportunity to bring it. I think they will bring it. And when you run it, you control the clock. You keep that Rams offense on the sideline, and you keep that unit cold. This Rams defense, though, led by defensive coordinator Chris Shula, who is Sean McVay's college roommate, they have allowed 10 points or fewer in 4 of their last 5 games. Impressive body of work with all the youth on that side of the ball. Key to the game number 3, really 2 steps here. The Eagles' defense and their secondary, and Vic Fangio, have to game plan to take away Puka Nacua, and then this Eagles offensive line and this Eagles offense, they have to be aware of where rookie Pro Bowler Jared Verse is, and they have to stop him. And not having Nakobe Dean in this game, it's going to hurt the Eagles against the run and against the pass, and you already know that Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford are salivating at the thought of Oren Burks playing and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. playing, given that he's a rookie. And on the exterior here, Vic Fangio is going to have to shade coverage toward Puka Nacua because Cooper Kupp, he may have had 100 targets this year, 67 catches, 710 yards, and 6 touchdowns. When you watch him play, doesn't have the same speed, doesn't have the same getaway ability. The short area quickness isn't there as much, which is what he relied on to win at the line of scrimmage with his routes because he's been a great route runner. And if you take away Puka Nacua, this Rams receiving core is pretty average. But you know that the passing game is going to go through Nacua. 106 targets this year, 79 catches, 990 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and he missed a few games with a knee injury. Kupp, again, just not the same guy, and the Eagles fared very well against Cooper Kupp back in Week 12. I thought Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, they did a pretty good job in their matchups against Puka Nacua. Going to have to repeat that performance. Both of those rookies pretty good against the Packers as well. You have Tutu Atwell, who is a speed gadget weapon, but he's pretty inconsistent, doesn't have reliable hands. He's also very small. Demarcus Robinson, 31 catches for 505 yards, does have 7 touchdowns, so in the red zone, he is a big target for them. And then I want to include Tyler Higbee on this list because he missed a lot of the year with an injury. He is now back, and the backup to Nakobe Dean, Oren Burks, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., they're going to have some reps up against Tyler Higbee, and Matthew Stafford is going to be cognizant of that. Another young player for this Rams team, Jared Verse, the edge rusher. Him going up against Lane Johnson, going to be a terrific matchup. Him against Jordan Mailata, going to be a great matchup. Verse this year, a Pro Bowler in year 1, overall PFF grade of 86.2, pass rush grade of 83.7. Both of those top 10 among all edge rushers. He's doing this in year 1. Run defense grade of 78.4, so he's a very multifaceted player. He had 77 pressures this year, some of the most among all edge rushers, and 4.5 sacks. So a lot of pressures, didn't always translate in sacks. What can the rookie do up against these 2 veteran offensive tackles for Philadelphia? I'll side with the Eagles once again. Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata against a rookie. Key to the game number 4, Eagles have to put Matthew Stafford under siege. When he has all day to survey the field, go through his progressions, that arm strength and that vision is still very, very special. But this Rams team is light on receiver talent. They don't really generate explosive runs, and Stafford is immobile. He's a statue in the pocket. But if you can't generate a pass rush, and the Eagles did that in Week 12, with 5 sacks of Stafford, he will carve you up. He will sling it if he has all day to throw in the pocket. But this Rams pass protection, they have been better after investing the offensive line in running the football. Sean McVay understood that a couple of years ago. That's why they've invested in the trenches on the offensive side of the ball. But in pass protection, they're 30th according to Pro Football Focus. They have given up 172 pressures. That's 12th most among all teams in the NFL. And their third down offense doesn't move the chains often. 36% on third downs. That's 25th among 32 teams. And finally, key to the game number 5. Eagles have to win on the money downs, money areas, and they have to cash in. You look at how the Rams stack up on both sides of the ball. You can use these numbers to your advantage when you're debating and talking ball with your friends with this matchup. The Rams, 19th in points per game at 21.9. So a Jekyll and Hyde unit that to end the year, they haven't manufactured a lot of points. They're 15th in yards per game, 15th in yards per play, 25th on third downs, and 25th in the red zone. That is a pretty mediocre offense right there. And defensively, they've done some sexy things to the eye on defense, but even the defensive numbers are kind of mid too. 15th in points per game, 25th in yards per game, 23rd in yards per play, 19th on third downs. That's the money down that I talk about here, that the Eagles, where they're 9th on third downs offensively, going to have to move the chains. The Rams, though, despite being mid in those other areas, they are good at keeping teams out of the end zone. 6th best red zone touchdown scoring percentage team in the NFL. And so converting on third downs and scoring touchdowns in the red area going to go a long way in determining the winner in this football game, in my opinion. As for the Eagles, led by offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, who has to be better in this game than he was against Green Bay. 7th in points per game, 6th in yards per game, 12th in yards per play, 9th on third downs, 14th in the red zone. So the Eagles offense, 14th in the red zone, Rams defense, 6th in the red zone. Again, huge key in this game. I can't emphasize it enough. The Eagles' defense, third in points per game at 18.1. Number one in yards and in yards per play. Sixth on third downs, also very good in that red area. And then I want to throw this out there. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but surviving without Nakobe Dean is going to be huge in this game and if the Eagles advance. This is a massive loss for this Eagles team. More than 100 tackles, 9 TFLs, 6 quarterback hits, an instinctual player that plays with feel who's always around the ball. The drop-off from Nakobe Dean, who is having a career year, to Oren Burks is a big one. Vic Fangio also did say on Tuesday, I like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. He's a really good player. I think that he's going to be a good player. That time might be now. We saw Trotter toward the end of the year. He plays with a lot of instincts. He didn't have great testing numbers, nor did Nakobe Dean at that linebacker spot. Playing with feel, playing with instincts, reading and diagnosing plays, that's important. So I'm interested to see what the linebacker rotation is going to be and what the snap count is going to be between Burks and Trotter. Zach Bond, by the way, going to wear the green dot now that Dean is out for the rest of the playoffs. So with that, predict the score. I asked you earlier who was going to win, but I want you to get more specific here. Predict the score. My score prediction. I think the Eagles put up 30 points. I think they find success on the ground. I think that this passing game shakes off the cobwebs. They knock off some rust. They're better through the air. And I think the Eagles win by a final score of 30-23 to make it to their second NFC Championship game in 3 years.